So, welcome to the second devlog for Project DT. Still haven't come up with a good name for the project yet. And I know I said I was going to make this 1 or 2 months after the first one, but I didn't want to release something half-baked onto the internet, or at least so half-baked that it wasn't worth making even a 10-minute video about, and it turned out to be very difficult to do what I wanted to do. So I think it's been about 8 months. Well, some stuff has been achieved in 8 months. Anyway, let's go in and create the galaxy. Okay, so we got this settings menu where we can select a number of each of the stars. Like this total, this should add up to about 2,000 stars. And I haven't got any settings. So let's just click generate galaxy, and it's going to take about 5 seconds. The reason it takes 5 seconds is because it's got to figure out which tiles or triangles on the planet are adjacent to each other. And that takes about 5 seconds, and I could optimize it if I really wanted to. I probably will, but it is pretty difficult. Anyway, so we got this planet here. I finally got some kind of geographic generation up. And this is a moon orbiting a gas giant. The moon is called Carnegie, and the gas giant is called Haber. Oh yeah, and I got some work done on making the gas giants look cool, but it's nowhere near complete yet. Anyway, we can go out. Everything is real scale, like the positions, they're in meters. Everything is calculated using Newton's laws. So let's click on the sun here. And we go in, and I've got some things for making it look kind of nice. Kind of looks like a sun. I'll probably go back and improve the way that looks too. Okay, so let's go back. Let's go back and look at this planet here, or this moon. So, this is not as it should be right now. This whole geographic system is kind of half-baked. This planet shouldn't have liquid water. It's just, like, this should be ice over here. It just is this way because these are the low elevation tiles that would be under the ocean if this planet had liquid water. That's because I was kind of rushing to get out the geography system for this video, and everything here is kind of half-baked. So, we see mountains right here. These mountains are generated via plate tectonics. Like you can kind of see, these are kind of like tectonic plates, or at least the parts of them that would be over the land. And these mountains are showing up where there should be convergent boundaries between them, because that's where mountains form in real life. And so the way that these planets work now is that this is an icosphere, and it's got 6 subdivisions. So each one of these triangles is going to be some place where information can be stored. Like in each of these triangles, you might have a building or a division or a unit or something going on. Each of these triangles is also part of a sector, and the sector is what contains a certain type of terrain. Like these that I'm hovering over right here are mountain sectors. They're lowlands. They'll have a certain type of biome, like that. For instance, this is an ice cap. This is like a cold desert. And there will be some more information that they have. And right now, biomes are distributed. Well, the temperature is distributed based on a latitude function. It's a function of latitude and modified by the temperature of the planet. Oh, and I did make it so that you can see all of the stars in the background. All the stars that you see in the background, those are actual stars that you can go visit. So anyway, sorry, trying to think about what I was saying before. Well, let's just click on something right here. So this right here, it's highlighting the color Okay, automatically it just highlights the color of the sector that you're hovering over. So it's blue right here. If I go and click on this, this is a district. A sector can be part of a district, and a district is kind of like a province from Hearts of Iron 4, and a district is kind of like a state. So anyway, everything here is very much half baked. So we got charts for the culture, the religion, species, and then the ideology of the people who live in this state. And that's all the information that we have in the general tab for now. And we got the population tab, and like this is an alternate reality, so this stuff might not make a lot of sense if it were real history, but this is like different history. Anyway, so we got some information about pops. Pops, they're kind of like pops in Victoria 2 and 3. Yeah, Victoria 3 kind of sucked, but so this isn't formatted very well. This was made a while ago and I didn't perfect it, but you got the name, uh, which is composed of the species, the culture, the religion, and then the social class or specialization, sorry. Then here is the number of people in it. And here's the current pop happiness. This is the militancy. This is the consciousness, which it's exactly what it was for Victoria 2. Then the plurality. Wait a second. This is the problem with me not formatting the table correctly. Well, yeah. Um, well, I'll go back and format these later. What is this? Try. I'm sorry. I'm trying to remember what the features that I created are in the first place. Oh, in the search button. Hold on. I don't think that. Yeah, that doesn't work right there. So there's some stuff that isn't implemented. Like over here, a lot of stuff that's not implemented. So let's go look on the economy tab. So the economy system of this game is pretty complicated. Right now, nothing works as intended. For instance, I can't go build buildings. I have to implement that later. I was waiting to do that until after the new planet system is up and running. But I have set up a list of buildings right here. Like the way that these are loaded into the game will probably change pretty soon when I go to make the feature to build new buildings. But right now, I have a list of buildings in this district. So we've got a textile mill, a clothing factory, a furniture workshop, an appliance factory, a pharmaceutical factory, medical equipment factory, and power plant. This green text right up here, and it should be bigger. I should change the font size there, is how much profit is being made. This number down here is the scale. This right here should be a button that allows you to increase the scale. This should be for, oh yeah, so you can decrease the scale pretty much instantly. It just, they go over and they demolish the wing of the factory. And I probably should make like a confirmation menu to prevent you from accidentally doing that, because that would be really bad, but I'll do that later. And then this, I haven't quite figured out construction logic just yet, but clicking on this button should create a new order to increase the size of the building. It would go under construction, and I haven't done the construction system just yet. I'm gonna have to figure that out later. But anyway, here are the resources. I haven't gotten any icons for anything, that's why it's just blank white backgrounds. But this is a list of all of the resources which are currently being either produced or consumed by the district. So, for instance, uh, yeah, it should be producing fabric. So yeah, we are producing. Yeah, we're not really producing much of anything here. It's because the game is broken. Like the economy is broken. So all this stuff is kind of hard for me to work with. But you're gonna have a local price, which is the average price that it sells for within the district, being produced by the district's or buildings, I think. I don't know if that includes imports. Then there's the stockpile, which is how much inventory is currently owned by any of these buildings. Then the market price is the market price within the country. So this would be like the average price of the good within the nation's market. So like throughout all of the districts that the nation owns. And this is the amount that the district is producing, the amount that the district is buying, the amount that has been sold, and then the average quality. And what quality does is people don't buy the cheapest stuff. They buy the stuff with the best balance of price and quality. So the way this works under the hood is that a good fulfills a certain need in an amount that's multiplied by its quality. For instance, if I buy a unit of meat that has a quality of 1.2, then my satisfaction of that particular good is going to go up by 1.2. And that's important for pops because they'll buy stuff with a certain balance of price and quality in order to maximize their fulfillment of any particular need. So, like for instance, they might need electricity for heating, or maybe coal. Still trying to flesh out the pop consumption system. But they'll want to buy the good that gives them the most heating. And so electricity, obviously, that would be like a fixed. I think that would be like a fixed quality, so you couldn't have like high quality electricity. That's not possible. But for furniture, you can have higher quality furniture. So people are going to buy furniture that has the most units of quality for the price. And that influences how the market works. Of course, buildings, when they're purchasing their inputs for production, they don't they will want to buy the items with the best balance of quality and price, but they still need to buy a fixed number of inputs depending on their scale and the recipe that they're using. And I'm going to have to go give each of these buildings menus later so you can change their production methods. That's one of the features that I took inspiration from for Victoria 3, or from Victoria 3. So it's similar in that regard. Like the whole inspiration behind this game was like, what if Victoria 3 wasn't shit? But but instead of satisfying that a certain need for a good more, what's going to happen is that if your business buys higher quality inputs, you get higher quality outputs. So you're incentivized to buy those higher quality inputs so that your outputs are better and people want to buy them more. This whole system is probably going to be reworked in the future. I'm probably going to change how people buy things, how people decide quality versus price, etc. Because I want this to be based kind of on like an Austrian economic system where people buy things based on their subjective value. And this is not doing the best job at that. This is kind of like the placeholder system, what I could do within the time allotted. So then the military tab and the development tab. The development tab is going to include things like regional bonuses, I think, or regional infrastructure, I think, or at least that was the original plan. This was when I was. This is when I had a very different idea of how planets should work. So this tab just like straight up. It might disappear. I'm not sure what to do with it yet. Like for instance, maybe I could have it so that you build power lines across each of these tiles right here, and then the buildings are all on tiles, and then there wouldn't really be a need. Uh, what was that? Uh, hmm, that was weird. There wouldn't be really be a need for this tab. So what's going on up here? Okay, well, anyway, you can create districts, and the system for this is not very well fleshed out. In the future, I'm thinking that it's going to require a colony ship to be in orbit over the planet. Either that, or you'd already have to have a district on the planet. And that colony ship would have to have, like, say, a colony module and a certain number of people aboard required to set it up. But, and I think I'm also going to have like a menu down here for pressing some buttons that would allow you to set up the colony as well as change the map mode, like maybe show temperature or humidity of the planet or important data, or maybe like the detailed climate modeling that I want to implement later. But anyway, right now you start creating a district by hitting Shift and then D. And you see that we're now highlighting a sector and the color is changed to green. If it's green, that means that you can click on that sector and it will add it to the preview district. If it's red, you can't add that. I'm trying to click, it's not adding. It will be green if you can, or if it's bordering one that you've already selected. So that means you have to create districts that are continuous bodies of land. You can't make exclaves. I can't go over here and create exclaves. So anyway, let me expand this out a little bit. You're going to hit enter, and you're going to get to select the name. You're also right now, you can select what type of district it is, and the plan for that was to specialize your districts. I'm not sure if I want to keep this system in the future, because in the future, buildings are going to be objects with physical locations, and it isn't very realistic for like an entire stretch of the planet to be focused on one industry such that there isn't a single other business operating in the district in a different industry. So that's probably going to change later. But let's just create a generator district and confirm. Now, don't be alarmed by this. I don't think that I set the amount that it highlights this area in here to a number that's high enough, but the hue should be different enough that you could kind of see that it's within a district. The idea here was to have it so that there are borders around it, so that you're mostly seeing the land underneath and not like the district. I want to make it so that only the triangles, the triangles that are on the border have like these super heavy border highlights. Right now, it's the sector that's bordering something outside the district. But I didn't figure out how to do that just yet. So you can create districts, and then this is yet to be initialized. Also, this right here is a bug. And hold on a minute. So hold on, let me mess around with the time. Okay, so up here, there's a menu with current time. See, we got the date. I'm probably going to move this to January 1st, 2000 instead of 2042. Then this is the time. it's in military time. And then this tells us whether it's paused, but if it wasn't paused, it would be telling us the speed at which the time is passing in the game. So it's 1 second per second right now. So let's turn up the time warp. 10 seconds per second. You can see it's updating. So let's go all the way. Actually, yeah, let me align it here. So you can see the planet is moving. And there's some visual bugs with the orbit lines. I'll fix that later. Yeah, there's some really big visual bugs, but you can kind of ignore it. Like, it's not game breaking. So we're moving across the orbit. This is all deterministic. It's exactly like in Kerbal Space Program, where things orbit based on their orbital parameters. So we can see the planet. We can see the planet over there moving past. This would make for a pretty nice view, I think. Let's speed it up. We got 2 days per second. That's the max time warp. I have not yet added the rotation of planets. So, for instance, planets actually do have a property for how fast they're rotating, and I will make them spin on their axis. They also have an axis of rotation. I just haven't gotten around to doing it yet. So, I think that's all that we can really show about this system. So let's go into some of the features. Let's click on the flag up here. We got the nation. We got the leader name. This is supposed to be the leader's portrait. I'll add that later. This is some empty stuff. Like, I'm thinking this should be like your allies. Well, no. Maybe this is like, I think this box right here, that should be like the faction you're in. Maybe this should be your allies. This might be your subjects. Maybe this is your rivals. Not sure what this is. This down here, this box is going to be your list of national spirits. It's exactly like in Hearts of Iron 4. This box is supposed to show the ruling party. And this is your pie chart of ideologies, the distribution of ideologies within your population. And everything is obviously not bug free. So anyway, let's click on this. This brings us to our focus tree. And well, yeah. That is kind of a funny bug right there. So anyway, this is pretty much exactly like it is in Hearts of Iron 4. And I can start the focus. I can, hold on. Let me just make sure that it's slow enough. Progress 0%, okay. Okay, so yeah, the progress bar is updating as I'm going through the focus. And let me see. When are we going to complete it? Okay, so now this turns green. This turns green when it completes. So now if it's green, then the ones that we can select, they're going to be blue. If you come across a focus which is mutually exclusive with another focus, then it's going to be red. It's not going to be blue or green. If you got something that you can't do currently, it's going to be gray. Wait. Actually, I think it's also going to be gray if you've selected a focus or finished a focus that's mutually exclusive with that one. So anyway, we can just go continue on this tree and wait for it to complete. Is it done yet? Oh no. Are we there yet? And anyway, a very similar system. Oh, sorry, that should be the decisions menu. Anyway, a very similar system governs both laws and research. So this is the politics tab. I haven't done a whole lot here yet. So let me just go over the plans for this in the future. This is going to be your leader. This is going to be the box with the list of the opposition parties. This is going to be the list of the box with the parties which are currently in the government. I don't remember what this was. Also, I don't remember what a lot of this stuff was. I think it's going to be like the current. This right here is probably going to be a list of your previous elections, if you have elections after all. And this country here doesn't have elections. This one, I'm not really sure, and I think this is going to be the data for the current law that's being voted on. And this, once again, I don't quite remember all the stuff that's supposed to go in all these boxes, but this is going to be the menu where you're going to pass laws. Up here is going to be your upper house, and down here is going to be your lower house. And obviously, these still exist even in a dictatorship because you got power that has to be distributed among all the people who do stuff. And they're going to have, these are going to have half pie charts. They're going to have a number of seats. There's going to be, here's going to be a list of parties, political parties that you can click on. Under here is going to be a box with the buttons for options to sway representatives from that party to your side in a vote. So, for instance, like bribe a senator or bribe a congressman or persuasion or whatever. Then I'm not sure what these boxes were for. I think this is just the name of the current. This is supposed to be like the name of the current law being voted on. And then here is the actual laws to pick. So these red lines over here are signs that certain things are mutually exclusive. So, oh, and also this is just the government structure. I can click on this drop down right here, and yeah, there was a bug in here that should have been fixed by now, but hasn't. Yeah, well, I'll fix that later. This has been a recurring issue, and it's been really annoying. Anyway, this is going to be the institutions tab. I'm going to fill it with government departments and institutions in civil society. Like, there's going to be an institution called the church, or corporations, or the Department of Education, or something. And they're going to have some settings like their efficiency, what type of that institution they are. Like, do you have private or public health insurance? And that all that stuff is going to be determined by the laws. And with laws, they're not just going to be for determining institutions. They're going to be able to pass certain like bonuses or determine certain whether certain production methods are available. Like you're going to be able to nationalize the economy in here or privatize it. Now let's go to the research menu. Now the research menu, this is just placeholder. I don't know why this works, but the list of laws doesn't. Like, I have no clue. I'll just have to go fix it. I'll just have to go fix it later. But this works exactly like it does for focus trees. So, for instance, you could have mutually exclusive researches. Now, obviously, these right here shouldn't be mutually exclusive, but it's just a proof of concept. Actually, let me... Huh. It might be that there was a bunch of stuff in here that I didn't update when I updated the other two trees. Yeah. But anyway, yeah, that's everything that's in the system. Oh, and this, by the way, I accidentally made the aspect ratio on the window for the flag wrong. So there's a transparent gap up here. I'll fix that later, don't worry about it. So I hit the escape key and I'm in space now. So let's zoom out. This is the map. I can't zoom out beyond a certain distance. Now the controls. It's WASD. W takes you forward, S takes you back. A, you go. Sorry, I'm having trouble with directions. With A, you go left, and D, you go right. Now, you can speed up by hitting Shift. Like we go a little bit faster here. You can also go really fast by zooming in and out. So like this. Shift also increases the speed, and for either zooming or using the keys, Control will slow you down. Like we're going really slow right now, and we're zooming really slow. Yeah. So that's how you navigate across the galaxy now. So now I've made everything 3D. We're no longer trying to show a galaxy because, let's be honest, if you got 2,000 stars in your galaxy, it's kind of a pathetic galaxy. So this is just supposed to be like kind of a cluster of stars which are accessible within the map. So it's 3D. The positions here are randomly generated. I want them to have a constant density no matter the number of stars. Like you saw earlier that the number of stars is adjustable, but or not only that, but the number of each type of star, like the star class, those are adjustable. But I'm not sure if it will do that. Like, so anyway, here we got the border. The border is currently determined by the size of all of the colonies around the star. So that's how far out the border goes. Like the way that this border is rendered, like it's a sphere. I try to have it so that only the outline is visible. I don't. It wasn't done ideally. Like there's some visual artifacts, but like it's not a game stopper, so I don't really care. So like this shows you where your nations are. If there were any other nations over here, I would see them, but in the future it will be so that you can only see the border of a nation that you've discovered. That's not how it is right now, but I haven't set the home planets of any other nation right now, so currently they have no borders. These are going to expand if you settle a planet in another system, or if you build like a space station that's a permanent settlement. So the way that it's set up is kind of an artifact of a time when I had plans to use warp drives for propulsion in the game. But I have changed my mind. I want it to use um, I want to use a wormhole network instead because it would create choke points and make the strategy a lot less, or make the strategy element of the game a lot less bad. Like Stellaris at one point had warp drives, and it was not so great. It was not very balanced. So there's going to be wormholes that are orbiting the outer edge of a solar system. They're going to connect to its nearest neighbors, a certain number of its nearest neighbors, and eventually there will be lines in the galaxy map showing those wormhole links. And as for where they're going to be, um, as for where they're going to be, the wormhole links are going to be placed out here later. Like they're going to be placed pretty far out, like maybe the distance of Pluto or so. And there's also going to be like ships that are going to have to go through Newton's laws in order to get somewhere. They're going to need delta V. They're going to need fuel and propellant. You can kind of, if you're looking for how the system might work, you could play Terra Invicta. I think I might also make it work like in Kerbal Space Program, where you just pilot stuff or you make the trajectories manually. But I'm not so sure on that one. I'll figure out ship navigation later. And well, is there anything I didn't cover? Hmm. Well, it is possible to save a game. Let's make one like test save. The camera shouldn't have moved while typing. I will fix that later, don't worry. And I have changed a lot of the game's code since I last touched the save system. So I don't know if it's going to break when I press this button. I think that it will break when I press this button, and I didn't even test it before making this video. Oh, and I can delete it, but... So let's try. Let's just try. Not sure what happened. Let me just go check. What the? Uh... Yeah, not 100% sure why that changed. Oh, yeah, so that definitely does not work as intended. We've just encountered another bug. Well, I guess that's the end of the features that I had to show off for today. Other than, well, actually, hold on, let me just reset this. I'm gonna go close the game, reopen it, and then we can go explore some solar systems. Okay, yeah. So the reason that the terrain here is different from last time is because I made this solar system before I made the new geography system. And so I didn't have any data for these sectors saved. So what I did is that if the array of sectors in the save file or the list of default solar systems, if the list of sectors for a planet is empty, it will regenerate the geography of that planet. So that's why it's different this time. But if I make a save file and I make it work correctly, it should do it correctly once I go fix it. And then I'm just going to randomize this until I find a design that I like, and then I'm going to put it into the sector array for this planet, and then it will stay that way forever. So anyway, let's go explore some solar systems just to see what's going on. Now, the system is buggy, right? It does, like I said earlier, it doesn't generate everything the way that it will in the final game. Also, we haven't seen it here, but there's a problem where some planets will have orbits that cross into each other. The way that planets are currently placed is troublesome. Like it doesn't work as I intended it to, and I will fix that later. So here's a planet that is really close to the sun. Everything here is a desert. I should make it so that it just shows the rock underneath rather than setting it to the desert color. And obviously in the final version there would be no water here. So this is just showing the biomes. Like I said earlier, this system is really half-baked. So let's zoom out and try to find a planet that might have good temperatures. Like maybe here, or... Oh, it froze. That planet is frozen over. Okay, in that case, I don't think we're going to find a habitable planet in this system. But just to double check, yeah, yeah, okay, let's go to another solar system. Right here, this orange dwarf right here. Let's maybe here. And this faint glow around the icon means that it should have an atmosphere. I haven't set it up so that it can render an atmosphere yet, though. I'll be doing that later. Oh, this is going to take a few minutes, sorry. Maybe if I go to a yellow dwarf star instead, because that can support a much wider. Oh boy. Huh. Uh. Yeah. I don't think that it's supposed to generate like this. I think this is a mistake. I think these are way too close. Holy. Oh well. Yeah. That would not last very long. Wow. What is going on? Did something break from when I compiled it or when I built this game? Like, did something break when I entered build mode? Because this should be able to show different biomes. Or am I just getting really, really unlucky? Oh, yes, here we are. Okay. Now, something is not so great with the moisture function. Like, this should be a gradient between low and high moisture. Now, what I wanted to do was simulate the climate. It's not able to do that. If you look at actual climate simulators that you can find online, you'll very quickly find that trying to simulate the planet's climate or the distribution of water, like the rainfall and stuff, is very, very difficult. And I have never seen one that didn't involve a numerical simulation where you run a bunch of trials and then wait for it to converge on the right answer. But right now, moisture is distributed randomly and it kind of sucks. And I wish that I could do better. And I also want to have it so that volcanic islands like Japan and Indonesia would spawn in arcs across the ocean. And I could do it because we have enough tectonic information to be able to spawn those islands. I just haven't made the function for placing the volcanic islands yet. I actually did have one available in a previous version, but since I had to rework the planet generation system so many times, I was I waited to put that back in until much later. Well, I haven't done it yet. Let me see if I can find another example. I think this one's probably going to be frozen, but what the fuck? This should not be a hot desert at this distance. Yeah, I think something isn't working well. Let me go over here. That's another gas giant. Let me see if I can find an ice giant. No? Okay, well, let's go to another solar system. Ice giant over here. Oh, there. Okay, here we have an ice giant. I don't know if I even want to bother changing the way that ice giants are rendered because it already looks pretty good and pretty close to how an actual ice giant looks in real life. But for the regular gas giants, yeah, that's going to need to be modified a little bit. So we got this ice moon here. Don't worry, this is going to be a lot more interesting and a lot more realistic later. I'm just waiting. I'm just waiting to get to that until later. So let me see. What? Huh? What? Why are these moons not orbiting? Oh well, that could be classified as a development blooper. Well, well. I mean, the Onion just bought Infowars, so hey, maybe they'll do something like that. There's an article about something like that. Hey, planets just stop orbiting because lizard men control the world. Well, that's all that I have for today. That's probably all that I'm going to have for another like month or so. And when I say month, I really mean like 7 months. Because there's a rule that I found in developing this game that whenever say something will take X amount of time, it will probably take 7 times that amount. Why 7 times? I don't know. But that's just how it turns out on average. So it might be another 7 months before I make another devlog. Maybe I just want to have enough stuff to be able to show and not have it be like a 5 minute video that just to drum up attention and not actually show any meaningful progress. But, you know, eventually I am going to come back here. I'm going to show what I do next. I'm thinking that for what I'm going to develop next, it's probably going to be first patching up all of the bugs that you saw in this video. Second, probably going to make the law and the politics system work as intended. Third, I'm probably going to make it so that I'm formulating my development plan right now as I'm making the video. I'm probably going to make the planet generation better. Like, this should not be generating what it is. Like, there should be oceans here. There should be better terrain. I'm probably going to be focusing on making better terrain for the next next couple of weeks or so. So, yeah, law, planet generation, fix bugs. Then after that, I think I'm going to make it so that atmospheres render around here. I'm going to make the planets rotate on their axes. I'm probably going to change how gas giants are rendered so that they're rendered more realistically, have like all the gas bands and the latitude spirals you see on Jupiter. I'm probably also going to add some visual effects on the stars. Afterwards, then I'm probably going to completely change the economy. I'm going to make it so that you build buildings on triangles within sectors. So like maybe I'll be plopping down a factory down on this triangle right here, or maybe connected up to a road to somewhere that supplies its inputs. Maybe that's connected to a train, which takes it to a consumer, or maybe it's connected via train to a harbor, which ships it via ship all the way to another continent. And then maybe like a spaceport that maybe have that connected to like a train that sends it up to a spaceport that sends it into space, and then maybe have like build the wormholes over here, like just have them spawn over here, like maybe build a station around there that intercepts the stuff via a mass driver and then sends it through the wormhole, send it to another system. You can kind of imagine the whole logistics chain of the game. And then probably going to spend a lot of more time after that doing all the other civilian features of the game. And then once the economy is working, once I've got everything set up so that planets are pretty much done and all the features on there are pretty much done, I'm going to add ships. I'm going to make it so that they have orbits. I'm going to make it so that they can do a patched conics approximation of their trajectory, like in Kerbal Space Program. I'm going to make it so that you can navigate them. I'm going to make it so that you can design those ships. If you've ever played Aurora 4X, it's going to be kind of like that, except your options are going to be more limited. Like, for instance, I can't just let you have like total freedom over ship design because I can only make so many assets. So like maybe you'll have like a set of ship sections that you can fix onto a ship, like the back, the front, and the middle. But afterwards, you're free to fit them with parts that you design yourself, like an Orion drive in the back. Maybe you got a what's it called? The one that Robert Zubrin designed. The one with the continuous nuclear explosion. Yeah, the nuclear saltwater rocket. Maybe in the late game you have a fusion rocket. Then maybe you go into the weapon designer. You design like a special like light gas gun or rail gun or coil gun or point defense laser or something like that. You fit that onto the ship, and then maybe you got some other parts, and then you design the ship with maybe like a colony module. Then you send it over to this planet, and you like go into orbit, low orbit, that you drop onto the planet, settle it or something, or maybe you build another ship that goes to attack somebody's colony ship or something. You can sort of imagine it. A very similar system would be the current ship design system in Terra Invicta, if you know that game, except it's not going to be a copy paste, obviously. I got my own vision for how it should work. So after that, after I've got ships done and the navigation thereof done, I'm probably going to do ship combat, and I want to be able to do real-time ship combat, like once again in Terra Invicta, and it would be gravitational. It'd have gravity and like proper Newtonian physics. Except that Terra Invicta's space combat sucks because it's really hard to move stuff around. It's not very user friendly. I want to focus on user friendliness. I want to be very clear about that. And then afterwards, since sectors are basically Hoi 4 provinces anyway, I'm going to then implement ground combat. You're going to have divisions that are going to be moving across surfaces to be able to set lines across that surface for like the front line, the retreat of the back line, etc. You're going to be able to control your units. It's going to be exactly like Hoi 4 in that sense. And as you can see down here, I've got at least the map that would allow me to actually build that system. Like, for instance, this right here with an A-star algorithm, I could make it so that this terrain here is impassable or just very difficult to pass, and you'd have to find some way around it. And after that, it's probably going to be all the other features like diplomacy that I haven't gotten around to making, and that would be required for the game to be complete. Then there's going to be anything that I didn't cover here, then that's going to be taken care of. Then I'm going to make like all the scenario details, like the tech trees, the laws. I'm going to make all that stuff happen. Like the list of cultures, the functions for the religions and the species. And I guess after that, it would be kind of in a sort of playable beta. I don't know, we'll just have to see. So, some other notes before I go is for cultures, I'm kind of planning to have it kind of like or Crusader Kings 3, or like you can have cultures with traits that change how they behave or do stuff or make them more efficient at something, and be able to mix those cultures. I'm going to make it so that each culture has a parent. There's like an evolutionary tree of cultures, and so that they might spontaneously evolve on planets as time goes on, and they diverge from their parent cultures. There's going to be a lot of mechanics for that. Pretty similar for species and religion. So like species, people in the mid game are going to have technology that will allow them to change their genes. So you might have species that quickly diverge according to the needs of the planet. On their own, people are going to be making these modifications themselves. Of course, you could create super soldiers. You could make everybody's genes like this one specific species that you imposed, but hey, that would be the government imposing its genes on its people without their consent, and that would be kind of ethically bad. I don't like how Stellaris just said, "Oh yeah, let's just have the government, let's just have the player able to mandate that everybody should change their genes." Like that's some crazy like totalitarian government stuff right there. But yeah, people are going to be able to change their genes on their own, and similar thing with culture and religion. It's going to slowly mutate over time. And afterwards, I really don't know what else to say other than there's a fuck ton of work that I still have to do before this game is even close to playable. And I've got college to complete. while I'm still doing that. So it's going to take quite a while. And I guess, well, that's all for today. So I'll see you guys in X times 7 amount of time.